From a 718 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Greg from New York. Thanks for taking my call.
Who's this?
Mr. Greg, New York City.
Greg from New York.
Hi,
sir.
Greg.
Is this real? Is this
How
the Greg?
is this, Greg?
This is the Greg.
Oh,
Wow.
Greg. Well, long time no hear
Greg,
from you,
I'm
Greg.
guessing that you have a solution that involves jetpacks and other
Yeah, jetpacks are cool, but
Shut up, Greg. I'm going to finish a bit, and then you can derail the show. Jetpacks and other non sequiturs. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So no preambles. I am calling in basically because Sam wants libertarians to call in, and I wanted to say as a left libertarian, thank you. The other day, you guys are basically welcome to the conversation that libertarians have been having about police and sort of distrust of the state, the violent arm of the state specifically. And I think at this point, the progressive left is joining sort of with the skepticism, you know, the NYPD being the seventh largest army in the world, and the fact that, you know, government officials have sort of told us not to wear masks and everybody that led to these shutdowns. That whole thing together results in their civil unrest as well. Yes, there's a police problem, and libertarians have been talking about it. But what I'm glad, and Jamie is a left libertarian, she said she wants to abolish the police. And I think very much so. Noam Chomsky, who I talked to, is going to be on your show. He is a left libertarian, and he's very much skeptical as well of government power. So I just wanted to ask you the conversation of what do you feel in terms of why not ally with the libertarian, at least libertarian left, calling for this
Because we
to be
hate
your
you.
ally.
You'll never be our ally.
But I mean, Greg, what does it mean to you to ally with them? Like, how would what are the mechanisms in which
You had on Radley Balco in I think 2011. He's a great. I think he identifies as a libertarian writer.
Yeah, we certainly did at the time.
You had him on. He wrote a great book on policing.
on militarization,
Guys, when it comes to cops and drug war, I mean, we've been aligned for a while. No?
Yeah, I don't feel like
Up with the libertarian.
allied with them. The idea of over policing and the militarization of the police is something I've been talking about for 15 years. But I sort of let that slide, Greg. But I'm curious as like, what is it that you're looking for here? You want me to say what? Left libertarians are good? What organization are we talking about? What?
Sure. Well, for starters, you know, don't make fun of them every time they call in. I mean, I know that's entertaining. But what I'm trying to say is, like, left libertarians
motion
have been more
denied.
critical of the police than the progressives. When, for example, Jamie says abolish the police,
The
why do we
so-called
have a
progressives
state
are actually
that's supporting the
regressive.
capitalist machine, right? Then that is something that you can take seriously because that's what libertarians have been talking
Greg.
about. Why have the
Greg.
apparatus of a
Greg.
policeman who doesn't know you rather than a neighborhood watch or someone who does know you from when you were 10 years old? Why not have a more decentralized system, you know?
Greg, do you really think that the people that are on Twitter and the activists in the abolition movement are libertarians like you're talking about?
There are many forms of libertarians, and that's my point.
Yes.
Is why not agree on them with some things, but not other things?
Because they don't even remotely consider themselves a part of the libertarian that you come from.
I'm going to say
They don't draw that.
Greg, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to commandeer this conversation for a minute. I think we owe it to you to be transparent. You've called in literally hundreds of times. In contrast to what you might think based off of my obnoxious impressions, the truth is that behind the scenes for a long time, we've been saying, Sam, can we please formally align with the libertarians to end violent policing? And Sam says, and I directly quote, no, because I don't like them. And they don't understand light bulb regulation, so we can never work together. And that is the bottom line.
Yeah, Greg, I feel like-
So let me.
I don't like them.
Greg, hold on for 1
It's
second.
difficult to convince
Greg.
a man of something when
Greg.
his own job depends on it.
Right.
Yeah.
But my job does not in any way depend upon forming a support group or not with the self-identified left libertarians of whom I don't know who you're even talking about.
Yeah.
What is it that we're supposed to do? Well, I mean, I agree with Noam Chomsky that we should limit the power of police. Okay, are we done? Like, what else do we need to do? Do I need to like buy you coffee?
I can tell you specific policy proposals. Why not have decentralized police where, again, the police
decentralized police? What the hell does that mean?
In people's communities, right? Why have a state police?
Well, how do you defining communities?
We already actually
have
that.
How are you defining communities? Like we're going to have it neighborhood police?
Certainly when people know each other, like when, for example, these the Jews, the religious Satmar Jews, violated the city ordinance, right? Who do they listen to? Their rabbis, right?
Wait a second,
their local community
Greg.
leaders.
Greg,
this is why we can't align.
Model. This is exactly why I don't ally with you people, because it's insanity. You're going to model policing based upon a sect of a religious sect that is living like they did 400 years ago, essentially, in terms of the consolidation of the community, maybe more, maybe
the Christians around this country, the Muslims, everybody has a community where they know each other, and they're not going to shoot you for
I mean, they actually, Greg, like you actually should really read up on atomization. No, look, let me not even use all that terminology. There's a book that came out in the 1990s called Bowling Alone by a Harvard sociologist, I think.
Robert Putnam, yes.
Yeah, I mean, people are not, even if you wanted to, and this poses a very, very dangerous implications because, as an example, I know some people who might fall inside the jurisdiction of some of these neighborhoods in Crown Heights and Williamsburg, and I don't think they want to be policed by local Hasidic authorities. but even besides that, excuse me, most Americans.
Could you please?
You Jewish?
Could you please
put on the facility?
I don't think I want Hell's Angels to.
Why am I looking at your knees?
Robert Putnam's book.
Why am I looking at your knees?
About the breakdown of American society.
Yes, it's right, exactly. So most American communities, even if you wanted to open up this very dangerous situation that you're talking about, are not even logistically there. I mean, there's a reason why you're pulling one of the most unique communities like there is almost no comparison other than maybe the Amish. This is amazing. I literally thought we could just say, you're right.
Let me ask you this.
Demilitarize the police. But it
Greg, have you ever listened? Greg, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead,
have you ever lived in like a small town?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I grew up around Nanuet, New York. It wasn't exact. It was close to a Jewish community.
Nanuet is the suburbs of New York.
Commuter. It's a commuter. But I'm saying, like, have you lived in like a small town that is like distant from like a metropolis, where people have actually lived there for an extended period of time? You want to talk about like corruption and central authority? Like, it's just smaller. But I got news for you. The dynamic is the same. In fact, in some ways, it's worse because there isn't enough people around to push back. And so, like, the corruption.
Right. Let me just address that real quick. Yes, of course, there's going to be problems in every society. And did we need the federal government to help end slavery and so on? Yes, we need larger structures. Sure. What I'm trying to say is the one question is, Philando Castile, Abner Louima, everybody, would they have been shot by the people that grew up with them and know them and are in law enforcement for their neighborhood watch? Or are they always being shot by the people who have absolutely no idea who they are and think they might have a gun and might kill them? That's my question.
Well, I mean, I don't know. If he had wings, would he be able to fly? Like what you're talking about, the idea that you have, the solution that first of all, we all need to stay in the community that we grew up in so that we can get fair policing is absurd. But that is, if you are a Hasidic Jew, you do have the advantage of the fact that, like, I'm going to school, I'm going to yeshiva, elementary yeshiva is very cohesive and static. But the fact of the matter is that The rest of society is not like that.
But also, Greg,
And
I mean,
so
Well, I
you're
guess
not.
all I'm trying to say.
we
all I'm
want
trying to say is,
police
based
to
on your
be
show,
democratically
you want to
accountable.
have a more radical solution of restructuring the police. I'm saying just listen to the libertarian voice.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Greg.
I disagree, but
Greg,
No, I'm going to disagree.
Maybe the police should be of the people in the community
let
rather
Matt talk,
than a giant city that they don't know
Let
yet.
Matt talk.
Here's what Greg's doing right now is that if we consider all abolitionists libertarians, then the population of black libertarians in America will go up by 900,000. These aren't libertarians, Greg. They're abolitionists.
Yeah, and this goes to a completely the point of having democratic accountability and universal standards in a polity is exactly that. Basically, small ethnic blocks or different geographies don't get to exclude the minority within. You got to just think through things a little bit, Greg. I mean, I can't even.
Well, Greg,
you're romanticizing a scenario.
You're throwing out ideas, and I think that's good. But you got to, I think, stay within the parameters of actually what is,
but you do agree it's important for the cop to know the person they're policing, perhaps.
Not necessarily.
I think that's helpful, but I think that's helpful. They work together at a club.
So my answer.
How is that the exception that proves the rule? What it is an example that proves that what you're talking about is bunk. Yes.
Well, Greg, what if you travel to another neighborhood and someone kicks your ass and then the local cop says, forget about it. I know this guy since I'm a kid.
You're from
the neighborhood. I mean, come on, man. You guys look, in conclusion, another failed call. Another failed call.
Do appreciate the call, though. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Stay safe.